Hey y'all, welcome back to Colorful Situations, where we have conversations about love, marriage, and everything in between. I'm Sunny.
Hey, it's your girl Liv, and welcome back. Welcome back to another good situation that we're gonna dig into. We've had a lot of good conversations, and we're gonna continue to do so.
Yes.
But before we do that, by now you do know that we have the color wheel, and that's how we check and see what our mood is. So, girlie, what you feeling?
Okay. You know me, generally, most of the time, I'm going to be on green. So I'm green because I'm peaceful. I'm feeling peaceful because I'm
Okay.
content. I'm all good. I'm right here.
Okay.
I'm right here. So I am green.
Kumbaya, my love.
If that's what you need. If that's what you need, that's what I am.
Okay.
Kumbaya.
All right.
So I'm
Green.
green. Now, how are you feeling today?
So we know that what is over here on the left is generally not what's going on over here on
That's
the
not
right.
True. She's not telling the truth.
That is the truth. We're opposites most of the
but
time.
not.
Opposites most of the time. However, my check-in is that I am a moody blue. I'm a moody blue. Yeah, I just got some things I'm fighting, things I'm going on in transparency. That it's a little hard sometimes. It's a little rough,
and that's okay.
And that's okay. That's okay. But
so that's okay for two reasons. It's okay because you have a her.
Yes, I do.
And in your you have a her.
Yes, I do.
And it's okay because we're here.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to talk about it, but to talk about things surrounding things that are surrounding things.
Yes. And I was going to say that I do feel like that's why we're doing this, right? We're doing this so that we can have a community, so that we can have a tribe, not only for the color beams out there, but for us as well. We're supporting each other, right? And going through this, it's not always going to be great. It's not always going to be easy. And people do have challenges around depression or just mood swings, and it's a real thing. And so oftentimes we see that people don't talk about it as much, or they put on like they're all
everything's
good,
okay.
And that's part of it. Part of it is trying to put on like everything is okay, because statistics do say that normally when somebody is depressed, people don't even really know,
right,
to the extent of what they're going through, because it's a masquerade all the time. So I'm blue. It's okay for me to be blue because I have her and I have y'all. And we're going to talk about topics that's going to make me laugh and, get over some things. You ready?
We're going to talk through some things. We're going to talk through some life, not just some things, just life.
Yes.
As the people say, because life be lifing.
It be lifing. And that is what the people say. And I'm telling you, it is capital L, capital I, capital F, capital E. It is life.
Dot. Yes.
It is. But with that, she's green, I'm blue, and we're going to get on into it.
Let's go.
All right. So, have you ever had a friend, aka Olivia, have you ever had a friend who, she's going through something and she gets advice? And then the next time you give her the same advice. And then she asks you for the third time for more advice. You give her the same advice. If you say yes, then you know about this colorful situation. Do you really want it? That's what we're talking about today. Do you really want it? Are you really listening, and do you really want the advice that you're asking for?
So, I do have friends that I give advice to.
Okay, with you.
I do have friends that I give advice to, because I think I am a good listener, and people that know me know that I don't talk a lot about things that go on with me. I kind of figure out things. I kind of figure out things along the way, but I'm a good listener, and I think I give pretty good advice. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been giving advice for a long time. Hence the reason I was a career student.
Okay.
Put that on that. Put a pin in it to come back to that. Yeah. But yeah, I have been that person to give that advice, but I don't always stick to giving the same advice, because if I'm gonna give the same advice all the time, what they say, people say, when you keep doing the same thing, that make you crazy or insane or something like that. Yeah. So when I'm giving that advice and I notice what's going on, let's switch it up, because it's obvious what's happening.
So you gonna switch it up? You still gonna give it to her? You still gonna give it to me? It's just gonna be in a different way.
I'll give it, yes, with a pretty bow, baby. Okay. In a pretty bow. I wrap it in a pretty bow and give it to you, but you still gonna get it. Yeah. Yeah.
No, your advice don't always come in pretty well. It comes in, I'm gonna be devil's advocate. Now, do you? That's what your.
Well, I am always the bad guy, and I don't mind being the bad guy, and that's fine. But I do now. I have put a pretty bow on some things. Maybe once or twice. Maybe once or twice. But I mean, I try to, actually, I try to start off a little.
You do.
Down here. And then I had to take it up a notch.
The mama eyes.
I had to take it up a notch when I know it needs to be a little elevated.
That's true.
Yeah. So yes, I do have friends. No, I have friends like that. So
yeah. I mean, and we all do, right? And you have said this before. We have been that friend who needed advice. And maybe just the time that we heard the advice, we couldn't take it right then because there was other situations going on, right? And there's other things that is happening at the same time. And when people need advice, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to pick it up and run with it, because a lot of times they may not really be ready for it at the time.
Yes.
They're just trying to fill it out. They're just trying to think through it. And because you're on the outside looking in, you're able to give that advice. But when you're sitting in the middle of it, you can't even see that aspect over there because you're sitting in the middle of it. You're sitting in your emotions. You're sitting in what's happening. You're sitting in, where do I go? What do I do? You're sitting in the hurt.
And like I told you before, I know that everyone has their own limits.
Yeah.
And it's different for everyone. It's
that
different
is true.
For one person. One person might take more than another person will in this instance, but in that instance, it's the total opposite. So, I mean, I understand that. I mean, I think we should all understand, not when I'm saying, well, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. And I know that you'll do it when you get ready.
Yeah. When you get tired enough.
But since you asked, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Since you asked, I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah. And most oftentimes too, we feel like just being a good friend is to be like, okay, girl, well, you ain't saying this. So, or just being like, well, think of this over here, because if we are her friend, if we are that person that is there, you're seeing her go through all of these different things. And like I said, when you're in the midst of it, you're not the one that's able to see what's coming around the corner. But as your friend, if you see it, then you should speak on it if she asks for it.
Well, I don't know, because all I'm really thinking about is, you say what now? You say your face look like, you say you need some tissue for what? You say what's wrong? That's all I see. That's the red I see. All the other stuff, that don't have anything to do. But if I see my friend some kind of way, this is my friend. People that know me know that the people that I call my friends are in here. So if I'm seeing my friend doing something like that, Anything else is out of the window.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's when I get to go hard.
Yeah.
But hard, but not hard. Yeah.
A level of hard.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. It is because you do see your friend and you don't want your friend to hurt. And
Right.
so you're still going to give advice. But you know your girl always got some questions for you so that we could just dig a little deeper and see what we got going on with it. How much advice is too much? Like, is there ever a time where you be like, girl, I'm not ever telling you nothing else again?
I think so. I think it's too much. Well, I don't know if it's ever too much.
Okay.
If I'm talking to someone and they're asking me for my advice, I'm gonna tell you Monday through Friday if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I might even tell you the next week too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like I can tell that you're not gonna take my advice.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell. So now we just having conversations.
Yeah.
Now I'm just practicing my skills.
Conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I'm just practicing my skills. You
right.
know what I'm saying? Because I know you're not gonna take my advice.
Yeah.
So now I get a chance to offer different advice as to, something that my first thought is, well, you need to do. So now I can step back and say, okay, so she's going to be asking me for the next month. So let me say, so maybe I should do my own research on this end, even though I'm an expert at my life and what I do, but maybe I could find some other ways that might suit what it is that she's trying to do. You know what I mean? Instead of girl, no, that ain't it. Well, so maybe you could think about this instead of just coming off the dome with what I'm feeling in my heart or what I would do or what I think I would do in a situation.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. And I feel like for me, it's too much when you get caught up in it. It's too much when you're like feeling like there's not a two-way street on it. Like say the conversation is, and we've had this, right, where you have a conversation and when your friend is in the midst of it, you may have to give her extra time, because she's in the midst of it and it's happening right then. But then when nothing is happening and it still seems like you're talking about her stuff and then you need that friend something, and then it's like, well, B, where you at? Where you at, B? Like, maybe it becomes too much at that point. Or if it's like, oh, now I gotta go, I'm gonna call and I'm gonna go and look, and I'm, leaving my house at 2 a.m. to go with you to go see what's going on, then maybe that's okay. Like, you really don't want my advice, and I'm not gonna tell you anymore because now it's coming over here and it's making me feel and do some things. So it's enough.
Yeah, I get that. And actually, my wife and I have had conversations in the past and saying, the ropers mind their business. You might need to fall back a little bit. So I definitely know that, hey, we've definitely had conversations. Hey,
well, so when she say that is too much.
Yeah, the ropers mind their business. So that's what we do. I put my little hands over here like this. And I just smile.
I can't ever see you doing that. I can't ever see.
Girl, that's for the thing.
Oh, sorry.
I do it in my own way.
Oh, okay.
I do it in my own.
Okay. I'm just like, what?
When did that? When that happened?
And to, in all fairness, it's levels of friends, right? Because we said that before. I said that before, that there's level of friends. Sometimes you have a close friend. What I do for you, I'm not gonna go as hard for someone else that may be out there. I may give her 2 drops of advice, and then leave it there or whatever. But when it's somebody else that's closer,
it's different.
Yeah,
I might make an exception.
Yeah, so maybe that's why I don't see the hands folded all the time. Next question. Oh my God. I can't even get the question, y'all.
Listen, take your time. Take your time.
Okay, so next question. Should they use the advice even though they're asking for it, even though they're always like, girl, I really need da da da, I just don't know what to do. Should they use it just because you're giving it to them?
I think ultimately it's a different perspective.
Yeah.
So, like you said, while you're sitting in that emotional thing, you have all of this stuff. You see how you feeling and all this other kind of stuff. But when you see what it looks like from the outside, not saying that should determine any decision that you make, but seeing another perspective that you can't see because you in whatever it is that you in, I think it makes a difference. I think it's something to consider.
But do they have to use it?
They don't have to use it, but I think it's something to consider because you can't see, girl, this look crazy, but I, girl, I can already tell you what happened because been there, done that. But I.
Somebody go remix this and make it. I'm laughing so hard just because that, but I would get you in. It has got my ass in so much. Like even in hearing advice and even knowing what you should do, and you have made that decision, you have locked in on it because of all the information you have gathered, your friends or whatever, and then
because and that's another thing I was gonna say. Ultimately, people know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
People know what they're gonna do. So that advice is kind of like you don't really, but you kind of wanna, but you just a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, I think it also goes back to people having their own limits to things.
Yes.
Because when you get to your limit, you're gonna look back and be like, you know what? I already knew. I already knew this. I heard from a wise soul.
A wise her. That's always right.
And oh my goodness.
And the glue of her friend circle.
I'm just saying.
I mean, you're right. But I do feel like we have to be very careful sometimes because the meaning of advice is just guidance or recommendation. Mm-hmm. That's what the word means. So just because you say it and just because you know that this is what's to happen, you have to understand and know that it's just a recommendation, something for them to consider.
Right.
Something to help them maneuver and navigate through what they got going through.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily mean they got to take it.
No. They're going to do what they want to do anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean. And, just kind of going back to just on the how much is too much. I was going to say that we do know that iron sharpens iron. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So as you go through this life and you work through this stuff, your knife gets dull. Mm-hmm. Your iron gets dull. And you need it sharpened. So when you go to wise counsel, that's all it really is.
Yeah.
It's just sharpening your tools for you to continue to go on through this life. So with that being said, if it sharpens iron, I may come to you and glide on you, and you may come to me and glide on me, but there's never a limitation to when that has to be no more. Right. Because there's not a knife or a stone or anything that does not get dull.
At all. Just like life, everything is moving forward.
Yeah.
Moving forward, you're learning, you're doing. Yeah. Things are falling off. You don't move. If you don't use it, you lose it. All of that kind of stuff just falls right in. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
in addition to the fact that if we were talking about us, we both
okay.
I mean, I have experience in certain things that you may have an issue and vice versa. You know what I mean? So if I have had an experience in this, then I could offer what I had to do or how it helped me or how I was able to move through and vice versa.
Or how you got through it.
Yeah.
How it's different, how it's changed.
Right.
Because sometimes advice could be just that. Just keep your head up because it's going to change.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be, well, you need to go left and right, and then you need to do this, and then tuck this. And, there are times that advice is going to look like that, and that you have to give it that way. But sometimes advice is just, I know what you're going through, because I've been through it, but I can tell you it's changed.
Right.
It's moved forward. It is a process.
Because sometimes you can't see on the other side
where it's going
because you're too deep into it. But if you've seen someone that's come through it, then you could think about it like, oh, okay, well, I know it's hell now, but it could be beautiful. It's something that could be beautiful, so yeah.
That is true. That's so true. Well, y'all, that's the topic. We talked about it. We chopped it up. But we always have to check your levels. You want to check their levels this week?
How y'all feeling? We want to hear from y'all. Let me just, you know what? I'm checking levels, but we want to hear from y'all in the comments. Yes. Now, this topic right here, we've talked about some other things, but we know for sure that someone definitely, 100%, more than one person has a friend that they've given advice to that they didn't take. And it ended up being something. And we have some people that they probably did take the advice and it ended up being something.
You told me to go. Girl, you told me to leave.
That's how you get to be careful, honey. Now, let me tell you something. Let me be clear. I put a little disclaimer in the beginning.
I am not the expert. Take this with her and do with it what you may.
And I'm not even talking about what I'm talking about is I'm gonna give you this advice, but let me tell you something.
Oh, you can't come. Tell it. What?
You tell it.
This is Sunny's advice. Now, hey, I ain't gonna tell you what to do because you can't come stay over at there ain't no room for you to live over at so do what you may.
Listen, do what's best for you. Do what's best for you, honey. I'm just saying. But yeah, so we want to know if you're in this situation right now.
Yeah.
If somebody just has you frustrated from not listening and it seems so easy to you, like what to do.
Yeah.
So, you in the red. Let us know. You in the red.
You in the red.
It got you at your house boiling up on the inside, angry, mad on the inside, trying to figure out what you need to do to go over here. Oh, calm down.
You in the red. You in a colorful situation.
Yeah. Maybe if you see this from afar, maybe this is a situation that you see from afar. Maybe you on the second hand or third hand, or you can just see it happening, and you just kind of want to steer clear yourself, but you know what it's about. You're in the yellow.
Yeah.
But if you are a seasoned advice giver, if you're a seasoned advice giver and you just give it and let it go, and you in the green.
You're in the green. You always in the green. You're a Sunny. You're in the green. Goodness.
You know what? Let me pause. Just because I'm always in the green, I may not always. Just because I've been in the green thus far most of the time.
Okay.
That's because I be trying to keep. I told you. Yeah. I told you what I be worried about is food. And what else? Eat. And what else?
In your house. Your marriage.
Make sure my wife good. Make sure I got me something to eat. So that's why I'm in the green a lot.
Because you minding your business. Minding.
Yes.
So now we have checked your levels. We have talked about this topic. Now we're going to go to some resolve. And just for me, again, we're going to do a disclaimer. We are not experts. Y'all know that. But
I'm an expert in my life and what I do. I'm an expert.
She's
in my life and what I do. I'm an expert. This is my life. I'm an expert at what I do. Go ahead.
Okay, well, look, y'all know where I am on this thing and this topic right now. So I'm just going to tell you. Take it with what you Take it and do with it what you may. But some resolve to this issue about just having a friend that you're always telling them advice, and it seems like they're not taking it, right? Like I said, it's a recommendation. So first and foremost, give only what you feel like is not going to pull too much out of you, knowing that somebody doesn't really have to take it.
Right.
You know, if don't get so invested in it, I guess is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Give what it is and support and know that your friend ultimately just has the last say in what they do. Mm-hmm. It's their life.
Yeah. I would say be mindful. Mm. Be mindful when you are giving that advice. Like we just talked about. Mm. You could give advice and someone could take it, and then they knocking on your door looking for a bed to sleep in. Just be mindful of the advice that you do give, and try to give, if you're gonna give advice, give it from a place, give it from your heart, give it from a place of love, and not some other reason, because people will give you advice for another reason, which is to suit themselves.
That's another topic.
So yeah, I say be mindful of what you're saying, where it's coming from.
Yeah, for sure. So understanding it's just a recommendation. Don't be so invested in it, and be mindful. Be mindful. Have good intents when you're giving it. Yeah, have some good intents when you're giving it.
Mm-hmm. So, since we are interactive, and we let y'all know this every week,
every day,
we want to hear from you all. Mm-hmm. So, we're going to post these questions here and post them down in the comments. Mm-hmm. So, if you've been in this situation, how does it make you feel? Mm-hmm. How does it feel to be that person that's always giving that advice? I know it can be frustrating sometimes, but if that's a way that you're feeling, how does that make you feel, and how is it impacting your friendship? I think that's a good question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you are or have been in this situation, how did it turn out? Mm-hmm. How did it turn out? Did it turn out with the person something happening, and then it turned out that they shot for the stars and made it, or was it something that backfired on both of y'all? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Of course, not with the bad intent, or not for the intention. And what are you doing to keep yourself from being that person again? If you were that advice giver and everybody came to you for advice and something happened and you said, you know what, I'm just going to keep my mouth closed.
Yeah. Mind your business.
Mind your business. Yeah. Let us know. We want to talk about it. We want you all to have conversations with us, with other people in the comments.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
It is. And also, if you, like she said, if you've had that conversation, or if you had this situation and you have a great story to tell, like I'm talking about a good story to tell, go on and put it in there, because we want to talk about it.
And we know people love to hear good stories.
I love to hear good stories. So let us talk about it. So the recap of the subject title is, do you really want it? And it's just talking about, do people really want the advice? Does your friend really want the advice that you're giving? Did you have that one friend that every time you gave her advice, it just seems like it went in one ear and out the other, but she was always calling you for advice? We just said that be mindful. Be mindful when you are giving advice. Only give the advice that you can give. Mm-hmm. And then understand and know that it's only a recommendation. They have the last say in their lives, and they don't necessarily have to use it. But if you still want to be that friend, then you go for it. You be that friend.
Yeah. And they'll love you for it either way. If it's really what it is.
Yeah.
If it's really what it is, and they know where it's coming from.
That is so true. And even when you decide not to give it, and you be like, girl, look, we gotta make a decision.
We ain't even talk about it no more. What you want to eat?
That part. They'll love you for that too. Mm-hmm. Right.
So leave comments, leave your
Yes.
stories, like, share, subscribe, and remember,
Not all colorful situations are the same, but you have the power to change your hue.